Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Argentina. Good morning, Argentina. Okay. It's an honor and a pleasure to address this distinguished group of law enforcement leaders from around the world here today. As the U.S. Ambassador to Argentina, I have the privilege of leading our exceptional team here at U.S. Embassy, Buenos Aires. And today we stand together with our international partners, unified, determined, and resolute. We are meeting at this critical moment. The threat is real. Transnational criminal organizations are moving fast. They're ruthless. They exploit porous borders. They exploit new technologies. They exploit weakness whenever and wherever they find it. They threaten our families from around the world. And they undermine the rule of law. That's why we're holding this IDEC conference here in the Western Hemisphere, here in Argentina, because Argentina matters. This region is on the front line of the global fight against narco-trafficking and narco-terrorism, but its consequences do not remain here. Drugs produced and trafficked throughout this hemisphere reach communities around the world, including yours, including all of your communities, everywhere you are around the world. Drugs trafficked here through Argentina reach your communities. No country is immune, and no country can fight this battle alone. We must work together to disrupt these organizations, dismantle their networks, and most importantly, we must deliver results. Let me share with you something personal about me. Before I was a diplomat, before President Trump called me and asked me to go back to work for the United States, long before, I was an emergency room physician. For more than 20 years, I worked in the ERs, in the emergency rooms of Chicago and across South Florida. I saw what drugs do, not in statistics, but to people, to families. I treated thousands of overdoses. I saw the aftermath of real violence. I witnessed the tragedy of addiction. Even in one of my doctors was addicted to cocaine working in the emergency room, and I didn't even know that. It touches each and every one of us, each and every one of our families. And I looked into the eyes of grieving families. Emergency medicine taught me something very important. When a disease or any threat is spreading, you don't wait. You identify the source. You stop the damage. You act decisively. The same principles apply to transnational cartels. We must attack these organizations at the source. We must dismantle their supply chains, follow the money, disrupt their communications, and stop them before they could spread further. Like treating cancer, metastatic cancer, you have to be very aggressive before it metastasizes. Because once it's done, once the damage is done, and the drugs reach our streets, our neighborhoods, our families, we are just treating the consequences. For me, this fight is personal. This isn't about abstract policy. This is about protecting families, about saving lives. I am personally proud that Argentina is here hosting this conference, this historic 40th anniversary international conference here in Argentina, the country that President Trump sent me to be the ambassador of, to represent the United States of. And I'm personally proud as well because under President Milei's bold, decisive leadership, Argentina has made a choice for law and order, for the rule of law, for security. And Argentina is standing shoulder to shoulder. Here in Argentina, it's codo a codo. In the United States, it's shoulder to shoulder. With the United States and democratic nations against the cartels, terrorist, criminal networks that threaten us all. And the results speak for themselves. Argentina is simply not participating in this fight. Argentina is leading. Look at what's happening on the ground. In close partnership with U.S. agencies, including DEA, FBI, and INL, Argentina is building strong law enforcement capabilities, and those partnerships are producing results. In the past year alone, INL and DEA-supported vetted units seized more than 10 tons of cocaine and 65 tons of precursor chemicals right here in Argentina. They arrested 348 high-level drug traffickers, took them off the streets. But this isn't simply about interdiction. This is systemic disruption. And when the cartels adapt, we must adapt faster. We must hit them harder. Look at the province of Santa Fe. I traveled to Santa Fe, where the great city of Rosario is, earlier this year. But in Santa Fe, traffickers built a clandestine airstrip to move drugs from Bolivia and Peru. The DEA worked alongside the Argentine Federal Police to track them down. The Argentine Federal Police intercepted a Cessna with approximately 400 kilograms of cocaine and put another 7 cartel members behind bars. Argentina is also bringing that same pressure against high-level targets. Let me tell you a little story. Authorities here captured 9 of the 10 most wanted criminals in the country just over the last year. And in the city of Rosario, the home of Messi, the great Messi, in the city of Rosario, working with Argentine authorities with support from the FBI, INL, and DEA, the murder rate fell approximately 66% over the last 2 years. 66% the murder rate fell. That progress helped us, helped me, helped the US government lower the US Department of State threat advisory for Rosario from a level 2 to a level 1, like in the rest of Argentina. That matters. It matters for security, it matters for tourism, and it matters for business and investment. Argentina is disrupting criminal organizations and taking back its streets. That is high-impact law enforcement. But we also know that criminals are constantly trying to out-innovate us, trying to outdo us. We cannot let that happen. Criminals, cartels, and bad actors use digital tools on vulnerable networks, cryptocurrency, encrypted communications, and sophisticated financial operations. So our response must evolve with the threat. Again, last year, INL and DEA trained 50 Argentine law enforcement officials in cyber and cryptocurrency investigations, giving investigators additional tools to follow the money and dismantle illicit online operations. These tools require secure networks and trusted infrastructure. Argentina is also demonstrating an unyielding stance against terrorism. Transnational crime and terrorism are always connected. They exploit many of the same financial networks, criminal routes, and illicit markets. Argentina really understands this threat better than most. This country endured 2 terrorist attacks. Once in 1992, the bombing of the Israeli embassy killed 29 people and injured 200. Again, 2 years later, in 1994, the Amia bombing, an Oklahoma-style car bomb, devastated, destroyed the entire building, murdered 85 innocent people, women and children, there walking on the streets of all religions and all ages, murdered them in 1994, and it injured hundreds more. If you ever have a chance to go to Amia, you should. There's a fantastic memorial there. Argentina will never forget. This was one of the most deadliest attacks on Argentina's soil. And like I said before, Argentina will say, never again. Argentina continues to take action against terrorist organizations and the networks that support them. Recently, they took a historic step to designate the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, as a terrorist organization and expelled the last remaining Iranian diplomat from Argentina. The Iranian embassy here is closed. acquisitions of F-16 aircraft, Stryker vehicles, and Orion P-3 aircraft. It's strengthening border security, expanding support for vetted units, what they call GOCs, improving maritime awareness, maritime domain awareness, deploying new drone capabilities, and developing a 10-year cyber defense country action plan. Argentina is protecting its sovereignty on land, at sea, in the air, and in cyberspace. And Argentina is also working alongside the United States and other like-minded partners across the hemisphere on initiatives such as the Shield of the Americas and the Americas Counter Cartel Coalition, the ACCC. Let me close with this. Our enemies move fast. Cartels and criminals adapt. They exploit borders. They exploit technology. They exploit weaknesses. And they exploit corruption. So we must move faster. Drug trafficking is not an Argentina problem. Think about that. Drug trafficking is not an Argentina problem. And it's actually not an America problem either. It's our problem. It's the world's problem. And defeating it requires intelligence. Intelligence shared across borders by governments and law enforcement working side by side, and strong nations willing to act and act aggressively. But we have something that cartels don't. We have trust. We have partnership. We have shared values. And we have the determination of free nations standing together. When we are relentless, we stand together, and we fight together, we win. They lose. Now let's get to work. Let's get to work to make our hemisphere safer. Let's get to work to make our nation safer and stronger, to protect our families at home and around the world. Thank you very much. God bless America, and God bless Argentina.